Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Bradford series. Bradford is a hugely important city in West Yorkshire. A lot of it is unparished, but there are 20 of them here, so let's dive into one of them today. Welcome back to Bradford, everybody. I can't tell you how difficult it is to drive between Leeds and Bradford on a Monday morning through all the rush hour traffic. It's taken me absolutely ages to get here today, and this is the closest to Bradford city centre that I've been so far. This is a big village that's famed for quarrying, amongst other things, but that's the main thing. We'll see some old quarries on this route around. There's also a football team that play here called Eccleshill United. This is the parish of Wrose. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome to Wrose in the City of Bradford, which is located about 3 miles north of Bradford city centre and just to the southeast of Shipley. It sits on top of a hillside at a height of around 600 feet above sea level, overlooking the Aire Valley and the Bradford Valley. Wrose is surrounded entirely by unparished areas of Bradford such as Windhill, Wood End, West Royd and Idle Moor. It's a largely residential area. A lot of the houses here were built in the 1930s after a whole host of 17th century buildings were demolished to make way for them. It's been a civil parish since 2004, but its name has been around since at least the 16th century. Its most industrially prosperous period was during the 19th century, when it was an important centre for quarrying and, to a lesser extent, brickmaking. Lots of quarry remains can be found within the hillside on which Wrose stands. Quarry growth exploded as the city of Bradford grew with the wool trade. A lot of Bradford's famous mills were built using stone from here. Whilst many of them have closed, one quarry is still operational, that being Bolton Woods just outside the parish boundary. Famous people to come from Wrose include Dawson Jowett, the founder of the Airedale Beagles hunting pack in 1891, and the comic and actor Adrian Edmondson, who was born in Wrose but grew up in nearby Idle. It's a 2-hour walk, this one, so we'd better get moving. We start in one of Wrose's residential areas which cover the vast majority of the parish. Many of the houses in the village were built in the 1930s. Not everywhere is like that, you understand, but it does mean that Wrose has a very suburban-like feel to it. The houses replaced mostly 17th century buildings. One iconic feature of Wrose which you simply cannot miss is in front of us here. That mast on the hilltop is the Idle Freeview transmitter, a perfect place to put it. Seeing as Wrose occupies some very lofty ground, at 600 feet above sea level you can bet your life there's a good view or two to be seen in this place. We'll get to a couple of those very shortly. Notice how the houses have started to look a bit older now. We're making our way to what is effectively the old village centre. It's not long before we're finding buildings that used to be other things. This is an old beer house. There's no ale here now, but there are still some pubs here in Wrose. So up to now it's been very residential. but now it's going to start to get a little bit more business-like. We're going to hit Wrose Road, which is the road behind me, where there's plenty of things to get our teeth into. This is the Wrose Bull. It got its name thanks to the persistence of the locals. They always used to call it the Bull, but its original name was the Hare and Hounds. It was called that because the owner used to keep a bull in an adjoining field. Directly opposite the Bull, we have Low Ash Primary School, the only school within Wrose's boundaries. This features 2 halls, and the newest of the pair was opened in 2008. The halls are available for community use when they're not needed by the school. Buses next. Here's one of the many stops along Wrose Road. The main service here is the 633 that runs between Bradford and Shipley. Now we've turned a corner onto Snowdon Road to catch the Highcroft Youth Centre. Seen here, this is another well-used community building and the base of the local playgroup. Highcroft is the right name for it too. Behind it, the high ground takes a sharp dip downwards, presenting us with this view of the valley below. Well, you can't deny that the view up here is something else. There's a reason why the locals nickname part of this place the top of the world. It's absolutely accurate. Now behind me here, there's one of Wrose's old quarries. And as you can see, it's quite a steep drop down there into the quarry itself. There is absolutely no way I'm walking down there. It looks very muddy and very unsafe. However, we will talk a bit about the quarries next. These are the remains of one of the many quarries which were situated in the hillside. Wrose was an important place for quarrying, as stone from these was needed to build Bradford's textile mills as the city became more and more reliant on the trade. The rocky outcrops that remain reveal Wrose's underlying geology. It stands on layers of mudstone, siltstone and sandstone, as well as small seams of coal and several clays. Many of the old quarries are in a dangerous state now, and walking through them or around them requires a great deal of care and attention. All bar one of Wrose's quarries have now ceased production. The one that remains, though, is Bolton Woods, located to the south of the village. We've now reached Gaseby Lane, and this, folks, is the top of the world. So says my map anyway. Just look at that view. Just off this road is a wide grassy bank. I strongly suspect this area was probably once quarry related. This features a small play park now. Okay, so once through all the quarries and the play areas and things, we're heading back towards Wrose Road, again behind me. And now we're going to take a long walk to the east, straight down Wrose Road. Now to go down Wrose Road. There are a number of shops and amenities along here, including not just one, but 2 post offices. This is the first. Here's the Bold Privateer, which was built by Tetleys and opened in 1957. It's named after the Earl of Cumberland, who owned all the land in Wrose in the 16th century. The pub's logo is a ship because he was famed for capturing the invincible island of Puerto Rico from the Spanish and bringing home plenty of treasure, something that Sir Francis Drake had earlier failed to do. Next up we have the old library, which as you can see isn't one anymore, it's a coffee house and a gin bar. The main shop in Wrose is this co-op store, which is on the same stretch, but there are also several smaller stores and takeaways dotted along this one road. And Wrose is very religiously diverse. This building at the junction with Thornacre Road is now a mosque, and it used to be Wrose Methodist Church. So you're definitely not short of any kind of amenity on Wrose Road. It's got everything you need. And there are plenty of opportunities to park your car as well. Even though some spaces are restricted time-wise, you've still got a chance to come here and do everything you need to do here in Wrose. Now, the next thing we're going to is towards a park. We'll continue down Wrose Road, and it appears on the right-hand side. This is the main park in Wrose, the Claremont Recreation Ground. This is a decent size, it stretches quite a way to the south alongside some more residential areas. In the summer of 2021, Wrose Parish Council funded 2 family fun days at this park with all sorts of activities on offer. These included archery, softball tennis, giant snakes and ladders, mini golf and football. I got chatting to a local while I was here who told me about these new trees and some repairs that had been made to a wall earlier this year. Speaking of trees, the focal point of the village used to be an elm tree which was planted in 1867 on the old village green. It was removed in the year 2000 thanks to Dutch elm disease. An ash tree replaced it, underneath which is a time capsule which will only be opened when the tree dies. Via King's Drive, we've made our way to Bolton Villas United Reformed Church, which has a separate church hall and a hut. And speaking of churches... Okay, so now we've reached King's Road. Wrose Road is behind me. King's Road runs off sort of perpendicular to it. Now this is the parish boundary, which means that the next thing we're looking at isn't actually in Wrose, but it sort of classes itself as being Wrose, and that's the main church, which is just to my right. Let's go and check that out next. So here's where things start to get a little bit weird. St Cuthbert's Church is not actually in Wrose because Wrose Road is the parish boundary. This was established in 1930 in what is now the church hall, with the current modern church being built in the 1950s. In the winter, this is transformed into a place to feed and clothe the homeless. The parish boundary continues to follow the remainder of Wrose Road until we hit a big roundabout called 5 Lane Ends, and trust me, it's busy. The quirkiest thing about the name of this roundabout would be that it actually has 6 lanes. However, it was originally 5 before Swain House Road was built. Overlooking the roundabout is a pub called Lane Ends, which was converted in 1930 from 4 terraced houses. It's been extensively modernised since then. And on the other side of the road, we've got the second of the 2 post offices, which is also called 5 Lane Ends Convenience Store. Okay, so the parish boundary follows this road. Everything you can see behind me is not within Wrose, but everything to my right is, including another church, which is called the Church on the Way. Let's head for that, and also a police station too. This whole area, by the way, is known as part of Idle. It contains the Church on the Way. Now, I couldn't find a great deal about this, but what I did find was that the Bradford Christian School, now located at Bolton Woods, used to be sited here. It moved into a converted old primary school in 2002. This is Javelin House Police Station, which is the headquarters of the Bradford North Division of West Yorkshire Police. Both it and Javelin Close were named after a type of car called the Jowett Javelin. They were built by Jowett Cars Limited right here, where the police station now stands. This here is the Highfield, which is a hotel and a leisure centre. Amongst the leisure centre's features, you'll find a saltwater swimming pool, which apparently has plenty of health benefits and it's good for the skin. Who knew that, eh? There's a funny sign just close to Highfield Leisure Centre. You'll want to stick around for the rest off section, I promise you. Okay, Blake Hill Primary School is behind me. That is not within the parish boundaries. This is where we head up now towards Eccleshill United Football Club through another greatly residential area. So let's go. I wonder how on earth did All Alone Road end up with its name? I also wonder the same of Sweet Willie Well, which is on a local boundary line between Wrose and Eccleshill. Up here we find Bolton Villas Cricket Club, proud members of the Airedale and Wharfdale League. Bolton used to be its own parish at one time. Next we walk down King's Road. This is so wide because it was originally intended to be a highway that would have crossed Idle Moor. It's now just a cul-de-sac. Our last stop is just off King's Road via King's Way. This is the entrance to Plumpton Park, where Eccleshill United play their home games. They are currently members of the Northern Counties East League Premier Division, the 9th tier of football in England. Plumpton Park is another former quarry. The land it sits on was purchased in 1963 and was developed into 2 football pitches. The ground currently has a capacity of 2,225. And it's just starting to rain now. I can see from All Alone Road the rain coming in over the hills. As the advantage of being on a hilltop, you can see what the weather's about to do. Thankfully, I'm just a couple of paces away from the car, which is parked right here on this road, off which of course is Eccleshill United Football Club. That's been the parish of Wrose, and I do hope you have enjoyed it. I know I have. It hasn't taken me anywhere near as long as what I thought it would, but there you go. Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the parish of Wrose, and I'm out.